Hi, my name is Kenneth Ashton Vincent and I'm here at University of Hertfordshire doing the final year of my LLB course as a direct student. This oral presentation will be based on employment status and we need to advise Ali on his status in the company as to whether he is an employee or not. If he is an employee, he will be entitled to statutory redundancy pay. However, if he is not, then he will not be entitled to this. Firstly, Section 230 Sub 1 of the Employment Rights Act 1996 defines an employee as being someone who has entered into or works under a contract of employment. Section 230 Sub 2 of the ERA defines a contract of employment as meaning a contract of service or apprenticeship, whether expressed or implied, or whether oral or in writing. Now, according to the ERA 1996 Section 230 Sub 1, to be an employee there must be a contract of employment. Based on the facts, there is nothing stating Ali has entered into a contract with HPC Limited, hence following this Ali may not be an employee. However, we cannot determine Ali is not an employee just by statute. There are other factors to be considered. Various tests have been developed by the courts to determine if an individual is working under contract of service or contract of services. These tests will be used as a whole to determine if Ali is an employee or an individual contractor. The first test that we will look at is the control test. According to Lord Justice Branwell in the case of Younes against Noakes, a servant is a person who is subject to the command of his master as to the manner in which he should do his work. However, in Jones against Worth Brothers, they redefined the test to show that the employer will be party having unlimited control of the worker rather than specific tasks to be performed. Based on the facts, Ali is required to wear HPC uniform when visiting customers, and he has to man their showroom once a month. Ali must also inform them when he cannot make an appointment. Accordingly, it seems that there is control here by the company. However, it was stated in the case of Walker against Crystal Palace Football Club that the control test is insufficient due to the existence of highly skilled professional workers which make detailed control impossible. Hence, this test may not be good enough to say that Ali is an employee. The next test that we will use to try and establish Ali's status is the integration test. According to the case of Stevenson, Jordan and Harrison against McDonald and Evans, an individual works under a contract of service if his work was an integral part of the business. Now, following Lord Justice Denning, he reformulated the question in Stevenson against McDonald in the Stevenson against McDonald case as to whether the worker was part and parcel of the business. The question that needs to be asked is the person part and parcel of the business? According to the integration test, it must be proved that Ali is part and parcel of the company, where based on the facts, HPC Limited has allowed Ali to do other work provided that he does not work for the competitors. Now, with that said and done, Ali has not worked for any other companies and this may not be used. If we were to go on the basis of this test, it would seem that Ali is not part and parcel of the organization, and he is not an employee. However, as stated, there is a drawback to this approach. The drawback is where this approach is a failure to this approach has failed to define what exactly integration means and what exactly organization means. Hence, due to this drawback, this may not be a good approach after all. Now, the next test that we will use to determine where the status of employment of Ali will be the economic reality test, where this test is to determine whether the worker is working for someone or does he work in a business for his own. The question asked in the case of market investigations and against Minister of Social Security was, is the worker in reality in business for themselves? Questions such as does the worker have any financial risk in what he is doing? Does he pay his own tax? Does he pay his own national insurance? Did the worker put in any capital? Does the worker use his own equipment, and does he reward the customers? Now, based on the facts, Ali pays his own tax and his own national insurance. He also occasionally gives existing customers gifts out of his own pocket. Now, because of this, it shows that according to the ERT test, which is the economic reality test, it would seem that Ali has fulfilled all the requirements, and it could be said that Ali in reality is in business for himself. Hence, he is not an employee and will not be able to receive statutory redundancy pay. The final test that we will look at that the courts may take into consideration would be the composite test and the mutuality of obligation test. Under ready-mix concrete against Ministry of Pension and National Insurance, there were three conditions that has been laid down to establish this, the existence of the contract of service, which are personal service, contract to a sufficient control to a sufficient degree. Other provisions of the contract are consistent with its being a contract of service. Now, under personal service, it is essential that the person does the work themselves. Thus, the ability to send a substitute will usually be fatal to employee status. However, a restricted right to send a substitute will not prevent employee status, according to the case of McFarlane and Glasgow City Council. Under the mutuality and obligation test, the employer has a duty to supply work and, if offered, the worker must accept. I must emphasize the word must accept. Firstly, based on the facts, if Ali could not make an appointment, Ali could arrange for someone else to go in his place, and if this fails, he would contact HPC to ensure the customer is not lost. Although according to the case of McFarlane, a restricted right to send a substitute will prevent employee status. However, not prevent employee status. It doesn't show that he is not an employee. He still could be an employee. Now, accordingly, just because this has been said, it is in my opinion that Ali, the right to send a substitute based on Ali, where he actually did send a substitute, will not be a detriment to an employee status, and hence to show that he is not an employee. Now, according to the mutuality and obligation test, again, there is no contract stating that there is an obligation on HPC to supply work, and there is no obligation on Ali to do the job received. This is fairly straightforward, as yes, potential leads were given to Ali by HPC. However, if Ali couldn't make an appointment, Ali could arrange for a substitute to go in his place, and it's not a must for him to do the job. Courts and tribunal use the control test, the integration test, the multiple test, and the mutuality and obligation test to help them decide the status of the worker as a whole. Now, answering this question, based on my opinion, Ali has no fixed hours. Ali has the ability to substitute workers if he is not available, and based on the facts, although it is stated that he could work in other places, he does not and isn't. It would seem that the courts may decide that Ali is not an employee, hence he will not be able to receive statutory pay. Based on my opinion again, because Ali pays his own tax and national insurance, and according to the ability to substitute workers, and also not having set hours, it is my opinion that Ali is self-employed and he will not be able to receive statutory redundancy pay. Thank you.